Hey gang, welcome back to Better Call Sexton. It's your host, James Sexton. Remember, before we start, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, all those good things. We have a packed docket for you today. Kim Kardashian figuring out it's a whole lot easier to play a lawyer on TV than actually become one. We've got trouble in Curryville, makes the hairs on the back of my divorce lawyer neck stand up. We talk about how you divorced the person you were married to, viewer submission of Sexton-ism, all those good things. Let's get after it.
All right, Jim, as you mentioned, Kim K.
Oh, my God.
New TV show on Hulu called All's Fair. She's starring alongside Sarah Paulson, Glenn Close, Naomi Watts, star-studded cast of female divorce lawyers in your realm. Your thoughts?
I don't even feel like I want to talk about this. Like, it is so hard to make me speechless. And watching the trailer for this, I was speechless. I just watched it and just went, why in God's name we do not? This is the show we don't need. Like, there's so much to unpack here. Number one, Kim Kardashian, wasn't it 10 years ago that's like, I'm going to be a lawyer, you know? And it was like, I'm taking the baby bar and I'm taking the sidebar and I'm taking this and I'm not even going to actually go to law school, but I'm going to be a lawyer. And now I guess we've just figured out like, oh, wow, like law is actually kind of hard and it's actually easier to play one on TV, which I get, you know, I certainly understand that. But it like are we all supposed to pretend that she didn't talk about how she was going to be a lawyer and anyone who doubted the fact that she was going to be a lawyer was an idiot and how we were all just girl bossing right into the sun with her? Like nobody... We're not talking about that. It's fine if we're not going to talk about it. But then putting her on a show that basically looks like revenge porn for divorced women. Like it makes it look like divorce lawyers are like, we are going to have him followed and we are going to take him apart. This is the stuff that gets people so hyped up about what it is divorce lawyers do. Like mostly what divorce lawyers do is identify assets, value them, and help people divide them. And then figure out like parenting access schedules for two people who are going to someday be like grandparents together. Like we're not doing a whole lot of like putting on like cloak and dagger disguises and hiding in restaurants to see if someone's with their mistress and then figuring out how to hack into their bank accounts. Like I watched this preview and I was already like, what part of this is even vaguely resembles? And the courtroom stuff, like people have this expectation when they see this kind of, like I said, lawyer porn, that we're going to walk into the courtroom and just punch opposing counsel in the face. And then we're going to have like at the end of the case, like the judge will be like, we shall remove his testicles, you know? And this just isn't how it works. And it creates this kind of weird blue balls in people that are getting divorced, that they think that they're going to have this like justice. We're in the courtroom. I'm going to walk in and I'm going to be like, isn't it a fact? We're a terrible husband. He's keep like, it's true. She deserves so much better. Like, and it's just not how it works. And it creates in people this expectation that is so wildly unfair because this like myth of closure becomes something they attach to. So I don't know, man. Like I know that Kim's dream of becoming an attorney seemed unrealistic to me, but this is not a good second choice. Like maybe do something else entirely. Just leave the law to the professionals. Let Sarah Paulson make another American Horror Story or another 5 or 6 of them that seem to be doing okay for her. And like, let's all just move on. Like, cause this show's going to go down in flames, guys. Like we don't see it already. Mark my words right now. I'm not much of a soothsayer. This thing's going to tank because it's going to be so bad. It's going to be so bad. It's not even going to be bad enough to be so bad you'd watch it. It's going to be so bad that you're going to watch like 5 minutes of it and just go, yeah, I just need a lobotomy or for this to be off.
Let's play the clip because I want to get some of your reactions in real time. Some of the dialogue, some of the quotes, they're just unbelievable.
I really thought we were friends.
Boy, do I love coming here. Walking down that hallway shaped like a clown cervix. Beef curtains. Black.
Diverse female boss cast.
I mean, it is star-studded.
That's why it's going to be so depressing when it crashes.
You're the best divorce lawyers in town.
Yes, you're the best of them.
What is she wearing? Has a lot of Botox on this screen already.
Women besting men in divorce.
Good Lord, look at that.
No.
Is that? She looks a little like Saw. Have you noticed?
Saw.
See you in court, you poor discarded.
You know, I always wear my black gloves to court.
There's a line here at the end from Sarah Paulson that is...
The tear you shed is $100K in your pocket.
It's not true. It's not true. You don't actually get extra money for crying.
You are not taking so much as a ballpoint pen out of this building.
Enough edging, counselor. Let us come already.
I mean, that is...
More. Before you comment on my new appearance, please know that this look is mine. Nothing more than next Halloween's costume, where I will be dressing as a whore lawyer.
So, Jim, is that the real experience?
Yeah, I mean, that's basically what it looks like. Yeah, it's amazing the realism they've captured it. It's great. It's
there was the one comment in there from Glenn Close though. Women besting men in divorce, never happens. I feel like that's
that is
almost
not
the opposite,
true at all.
Right?
Yeah, that is not true at all. I don't think you actually. I think if you were going to point at an economic gender bias in divorce, it would probably be skewed in the direction of women having more favorable settlements than men, unless they are married to really unsuccessful men, because half of nothing is still nothing. Half of debt is still debt. But, you know, I always tell people, like, you can't cut something in half and have it be bigger than it was when it started. You at best, it'll be half as big, but usually you lose something in the cutting. But yeah, I think, but again, this is what I mean when I say it's like a weird divorce porn for divorced women. Like, it's clearly meant to be like there's this gender thing and that, you know, this large, first of all, there are a lot of excellent female divorce attorneys. Like, I have a number of colleagues, adversaries, who are phenomenal. So I do not want to come off like I'm slagging female divorce lawyers. Actually, being a very effective courtroom advocate and a woman is often in divorce law incredibly valuable. Like, if I have a client or a prospective client who is clearly a perpetrator of domestic violence or clearly has had significant substance use issues, or we're going to be going after a mom in a custody case and trying to prove her to be a unfit or undesirable mother, having a woman represent that male client is actually really good, because otherwise it's the boys beating up the girl and I'm sitting here questioning someone's abilities as a mother and I'm clearly not a mother. So it really creates, like, there are gender things happening in a courtroom. So I think you'd be foolish to think otherwise. But it's not like that kind of emotionally laden stuff. Like, the best divorce lawyers are we're very passionate about our work and we're very, you know, into it and turned on by it and very intellectually we find it exciting. But we're not like becoming so aligned with our client's emotional state that we stop seeing it clearly. And we don't fit our client with a halo and the other side with horns. And, you know, I've never seen a firm that was all female partners. And it was, I mean, I've seen like 2 of them and they imploded within 5 years. Like, it's just doesn't work. Like, it just doesn't work because it just, the dynamic of that just isn't going to work. You know, it's not going to attract a diverse enough client base. It's not going to have a complete skill set. Just like a firm that was all men isn't going to be successful. Like, you have to have the right tools for the right task. And there are cases where a younger lawyer is a better choice, an older lawyer is a better choice, a woman's better, a man's better, having a gay lawyer, having a lesbian lawyer. Like, these are all things that are helpful. Having a lawyer that has kids, having a lawyer that doesn't have kids. It's what's the right tool for the right task. So I don't know. I understand why they made this. They get the idea of like, oh, okay, divorce law is interesting. It is interesting. Like, why the hell else is anybody listening to this pointy-nosed 53-year-old? But I mean, to turn it into that, like, it's not that sexy, guys. Like, it's not like our offices, they're nice. They don't look like that. That's insane. Like, and by the way, like, who's doing work in that office? It doesn't look like an office where there's no computers anywhere. Like, most of what I do is either I'm on a computer returning emails or I'm on the phone and I have the thing in my ear and I'm walking around with the thing in my ear. Like, everybody there is just wearing elaborate hats and there's no computers and they're throwing fucking water at each other. Like, I don't know. It's just.
Is there a movie, TV show, piece of content that does represent the divorce world or legal world?
No, I mean, divorce has never been done well on TV or films. I would say the closest we ever came was A Marriage Story. I think that movie, A Marriage Story, which should have been called A Divorce Story, by the way, that was as real as I think it gets. It showed how 2 people that don't hate each other can, like, the adversarial process can make them incredibly distrustful of each other. And the things that lawyers have to do to protect their client and advance their interests sometimes amp up conflict in really awful ways. And, you know, the way that two decent people can kind of lose their minds in the terror that is a divorce, like the feeling of, oh my God, everything's slipping away. Everything's like, I'm losing my identity. I'm losing my kids. I'm losing all my money. I'm losing where I live. And I thought Adam Driver and Scarlett Johansson did a phenomenal job of driving that home. But in terms of like the day-to-day work of being a divorce lawyer, no, it's never really been done well on film because, again, it's super interesting, but it's not that visually sexy. Trials, divorce trials, custody trials are really, really interesting. And they would be more like what Law and Order has a pretty fair depiction of what courtroom work looks like. Whenever I tell my clients to watch something, like if you want to watch something to get used to, first of all, watch court, go to court. Like courtrooms are open in the United States. Like, you want to come watch me in court? Come watch me in court. Come to 60 Center Street in Manhattan, watch me do a trial. It's open court. You can come in, you can watch the thing. We can't film it, can't record it, but you can come watch anytime you want. They're open courtrooms unless the case has been sealed for very specific reasons. You're not allowed to just automatically seal a divorce proceeding because you feel like it. It's a public court system. There are people who, like, they come to court every day. They're retired and they just come to watch. And I'm actually, it's one of my proudest things is that, like, during the summer when there's interns, like college students and law students in the courthouse, ever since cell phones started, I'll be in court and I'll look over and there'll be 3 interns and then I'll see them on their phones and all of a sudden interns will start just coming in from all the different parts of the courthouse. And I have this fantasy that someone is like, Sexton's in courtroom 6, and then they all just come down and watch. And I actually had this cross-examination prepared that I was so excited to do because I was just going to snap this guy's neck. And they settled. They settled at like the last minute. And I took all the interns. I don't know any of their names. I was like, all of you, come with me. And I brought him into a conference room. And I was like, do you want to see the cross I was going to do? Because I was so excited to do it. And they were all like, yes, we do. And I was like, oh, this is great. So I'm like, all right, you're the witness. Ready? And I just did the cross-examination. And it felt so good. It was like such like, oh, thank God I needed that release. And yeah, but I mean, like, but they were like genuinely fascinated because they're law students or college students that think they want to go to law school. So yeah, I mean, the best way to see it is just go see it in real life. Like, you don't have to watch it on TV. But Law and Order does a pretty good job of the rules of evidence and how courtroom practice actually works.
You are one sick pup, Sexton. You just love it, don't you?
I kind of do, man. I don't know. Something in my brain's not right. You know what it is? I like that I'm good at it. I think when you're really good at something, that feels really good. And I don't know why I have this weird combination of things that makes me good at this particular thing, but I have a particular set of skills.
All right, counsel, you said that this made your spidey senses as a divorce lawyer tingle. Ayesha Curry, Steph Curry's wife, went on Call Her Daddy with some comments about how she wanted to be a career woman and not settle down and get married and have kids. This is also the latest in comments about this. She's done about 4 or 5 of them now, so it has a lot of people talking. Let's roll the clip.
4 kids. Did you always knew you wanted a big family?
No. So I didn't want kids. I didn't want to get married. I thought I was going to be career girl and that's it. And I had my eyes set on my goals. And I was never the little girl that like dreamt about the wedding dress and all of that. And then it happened so early in my life.
It's such a shame you derailed her career goals.
So it's like, it's one of those
really
things that you don't know what you
had a great
actually
life.
Don't know what you want.
It's so hard also to be the woman in a situation where you're like, men just don't get as much scrutiny. Like they can maybe tell him like,
so
your
hard.
Fucking shot
So
sucked
hard.
tonight. But like the looks and all of that is just like not a factor of conversation as much.
No.
Did you
It is really bad to be in a position where you don't have to have skills.
Keep it within yourself so it didn't.
I do not have a bone in my body that can keep anything to myself.
That's true.
So
That's the truth. That's the most truthful thing.
And he's so gracious. Like he tries to resonate with me, but he just can't.
That's healthy. It's healthy to in front of a bunch of strangers in a public setting to talk about how your husband just kind of doesn't get it and doesn't get you, and how it's much harder for you to not have been able to pursue your dreams that were literally only that, dreams. Like there was nothing in your reality that looked like you were about to be in the trajectory of becoming a C-suite executive.
For reference, she was married at 22.
Yeah. No, I'm not meaning her individually.
No, yeah.
Like I don't know what she would have accomplished, but it's incredibly easy to from the position of having millions and millions of dollars, being married to a very successful person who's very good at a particular thing, to say, I could have been a brain surgeon. It's like, yes, you could have. And Kim Kardashian could have been a lawyer. Like there's lots of things that are possible. I could have been a gigolo. It's just, I lacked some of the skills, like, being really good at sex and extremely good looking. Other than that, I was perfect for the field. Like I could have been a doctor except for the math and science part. I think this is just what gets my like spidey sense tingling about the Curry situation is it's a real short distance from publicly criticizing your spouse to being in my office, period. It just is. I've seen it with celebrities all over the place. I've seen it with any number. Like as soon as I hear someone on a screen or on a podcast talking about how their spouse like doesn't get it, and by the way, it's usually women. Because if a guy gets on a podcast or a show and says like, well, my wife doesn't get it, or, oh, she's the most loathsome harpy ever to castrate a man. That's it. It's over. They're done. Curtains. Case, like, that's it. She's leaving him. Whereas it's kind of become okay to say like, oh, my husband's such a lovable idiot. Like, and of course, like she's doing it that way. She's doing it with that, like, look, he tries. He tries. Like, imagine, like just for a second, imagine if they were like your wife, like she's aging, she's had 4 children and she's aging. Like, are you ever, when you're on the road and there's like, women who are in their 20s throwing themselves at you, like, do you ever get like tempted? Like, or do you feel like your wife's beautiful? If he went, like she tries, she tries to look like she's in her 20s. She like injects a bunch of stuff in her face and she's had some work, but she tries. She just doesn't, it doesn't like resonate with my penis. Like it doesn't resonate. Like you would just watch that and be like, this guy is awful. Like that's an awful human being. Like, and what she basically just put him on blast to like how many million people. And look, I'm not saying you wouldn't have been a CEO. I don't know. Like, there's no way to know. But, you guys like have a pretty public life. It's a pretty good one. Like, you've done a pretty good job, like, of having like a pretty good life. Like, I pretty much bet she didn't take a city bike over to the studio. Like, I'm willing to bet she's doing okay. And it's largely out of his career. I'm sure she's got some brand that she made. Like, everybody's got a, like, oh, I have a makeup line, or I have a line of, like quilts for dogs. But like, I'd imagine most of the revenue is still coming from that guy who plays basketball. I'm willing to bet, right? And so to then start slagging that guy publicly and talking about like how he tries, he means well, but it's like, dude, like, listen, I'm not saying the guy's got to be as good at connecting with his spouse as he is at throwing 3-pointers, but like, you don't need to have that discussion in public. You don't need to do that on Call Her Daddy. Like, you just don't need to do that. Why? What does that benefit? You think he's going to watch that and go like, or you think like there's women, they're going to watch that and go, oh, look, my husband sucks as bad as Steph Curry. Like, does that make everybody feel better now? Like, it's just distasteful. And again, listen, only time will tell, but I've been doing this a long time, and if there was like, there's like the dead pool, like who's going to be dead within the next year and you can bet on that. If we did like a divorce pool, I would definitely take odds on this one. No problem. Like no problem. I think that the Curry divorce is probably not too far in the distant future. They're not New Yorkers, unfortunately, so I don't get to get involved in it.
One follow-up on this. Ayesha and Steph met when they were 14 and 15, got married when they were 22 and 23. Yep. In your experience, does the high school sweetheart, college sweetheart, we've been only each other's partner for our whole life, is that a good thing, a bad thing, more prone to divorce, or indifferent?
It's neither. There are permutations of it where it works really well, where you have, it's like the seeds that grow into the tree, and then the tree's roots become sort of entwined, and it's hard to tell where one begins and the other ends, and they find ways to grow together. And the bond of having kids brings them closer and tighter together, and they go through phases of things together, and there's a shared history. And I've seen that work. I've seen it work a bunch of times. I've also seen that absolutely blow up in people's face. This is a bad sign. This is a bad sign because when you are connected to someone and you've had that long of a history, the best demonstration of it in public. Again, I'm not saying behind closed doors. If your spouse isn't meeting your needs, there are ways to talk to your spouse about that. And I don't think you should push that stuff down. You should talk about it. You should let this person know. Maybe even get a professional involved, go to some kind of counseling together, or at least have some ritual where the two of you discuss what you're doing right and what you could do better in the relationship. But man, to publicly go out and blast somebody who you've been with for this long, I'm sorry, who are you comparing him to? What other boyfriend did you have? You got with him when you're 14 years old. Like who? Oh, your imagined husband? He's not as good. He doesn't resonate as well as your imagined husband? Well, guess what? My imagined wife would be really, really hard to beat. You know, it would be amazing. Like, and I'm sure his imagined wife, if he was allowed to say it out loud without being pilloried, would probably, one of the characteristics of her would probably be that she doesn't go on podcasts and make a fool of him. That would probably be like in the top 5 things that he'd like about her. So again, you're comparing him to an imagined man in your head, or maybe one on a movie screen or a TV screen, because clearly you haven't, unless you've been having relationships that we're not aware of, in which case maybe you'll definitely be in my office sooner than I thought. So otherwise, you're comparing it to your imagination, and good luck with that.
All right, we see the book up there on the shelf, How to Stay in Love.
Oh, there it is.
And this is a concept from the book that I have been trying to reconcile myself. Maybe you can help me out here.
Sure.
It's the idea of you always divorce who you marry, right?
Well, yeah, because there's this saying where people say, well, you don't divorce the person that you married. You don't divorce the person that you married, meaning that like when the ring comes on, the mask comes off, and that when you get divorced, you really see someone's true face and their ugliness really comes out. I don't agree with that.
So the idea, though, that when you divorce a person, they always were that person you're speaking of, right? But over the course of time, there is going to be people who grow, change, evolve, devolve. So how do you reconcile those two things?
It's a great question. So I had lunch with a psychiatrist friend of mine. We actually became friends because I cross-examined him. And he was a witness in a case. He was a forensic psychiatrist. And after I cross-examined him for like a day and a half in this really brutal cross-examination, we were walking out of the courtroom and I was like, hey, do you want to get lunch? And he was like, are you serious? And I was like, yeah, let's get lunch. Like, it's not personal. It's just a job. And he was like, all right, let's get lunch. And we went out to lunch and we became friends. And we've gone out to lunch many times since. And he still works on cases of mine. He very rarely agrees with my clients. I'm not sure why. I don't know if it's like make a point that he's neutral, even though we have lunch together. Or if it really is just that I represent some awful people. I don't know. It could be both. I don't know. But you know what he said to me? I said to him once I was having a particularly challenging week. And I said, man, I don't know, like, does divorce just make people go crazy? And he, flat affect, just said, no, it turns up the volume on the crazy they already had. And I said, do you really think that? And he said, oh, yeah. He said, if someone's like prone to anxiety and they're going through the stress of a divorce, now it's going to be like a full-blown panic disorder. If someone's prone to depressive illness and now they're going through the stress of a divorce, it's going to turn it into like major depressive disorder. Like it's going to take personality traits, you're putting the organism under stress, and it's going to amplify certain negative aspects. And I've found that to be true. I think that you know, if what's astounding to me, what inspired that chapter in the book is that I'm always sort of amazed because people say, you know, I can't believe he's being so petty. And I'll say, well, was he not petty during the marriage? And they're like, oh no, he was like the pettiest person ever. And you're like, then why would you think he, you know what I mean? Like put that to a different context. If you have a dog that like bites everyone that comes near it, and then someone comes near it and it bites them and you go, I can't believe he bit them. It's like, well, what wouldn't you be more surprised if he didn't bite them? Like there's just this sense that, well, you know, this person, he's lying. He's good. I can't believe he's in his deposition lying. And it's like, was he someone who was scrupulously honest during the marriage? No, he lied like crazy. He was constantly cheating on his taxes to our mutual benefit. You're like, okay, so like you know, he's still being the same person who he was. So I think what happens is there is a part of us as humans that, when you see the world with rose-colored glasses, all the red flags just look like flags, right? So like when you're in love with someone, you're all hopped up on pheromones, you're trying to make a relationship be, work, and it's the early days where it's easy for it to work. You start to see this person and like gloss over the aspects of them that probably would, if you were looking at them clearly, you would see that there were some red flags. You're much quicker in the early days of a relationship to sort of go like, oh, I could live with that. Oh, I could live with that. Well, there are things that you're like, oof, there are 8 billion people in the world to choose from. Like if I'm picking my person, like they might not have that trait, or that might need to be something that would have to change. And is there a sign it's actually going to change? So that's what the chapter was really about, was just the suggestion that, look, of course people grow and change, and we break in relationship and we heal in relationship and we learn from relationships. But certain fundamental core components, like I'm never going to be the strong silent type. Like I'm never going to be. So if a woman's like, he'll shut up one of these days. Like, probably not. Like probably not. If you're married to a guy who's like super hypersexual, he's probably going to be super hypersexual. Like, like Bill Clinton had a reputation, rumor mill, of being a guy who liked to chase skirt when he was a young man. Okay. So when you find out that he's cheating, I'm not saying, okay, he gets a pass for that, but it's not as shocking as if it was someone who does not have that reputation. Right? So like when people show you who they are, listen, pay attention to it, and just know, again, you can marry this person, but then when the marriage ends and you divorce, just realize like all of those traits are going to be weaponized in some way, and don't act surprised when they're weaponized against you. If this person's, one of their superpowers was that they were constantly lying in business and it's what made them a good business person, okay, now they're going to lie to their benefit in your divorce action. So don't act righteously indignant and be, oh my God, I can't believe this person's lying. It would be surprising if they weren't lying.
All right, we got a reader submission today that is actually perfect based on everything we've been talking about, the law firm with Kim Kardashian and kind of what you just mentioned.
I thought you were going to say it was from Steph Curry.
It says, Dear Jim, unfortunately, my wife and I are getting a divorce. After trying to make it work and being separated for a little while, it's officially time to get divorced, and I need to find an attorney. So how does one find the right fit for you? What's the most important qualities to find the right representation? Is it budget, age, gender? Do I go with a big firm with resources or a small firm with hands-on service? How do I find the right fit?
Do they have black gloves? Do they have a good hat? That for me is the big thing. Is it a woman wearing a tie? That's essential. No. It's a great question. And I wish I could give you like a singular answer. I think it's not about how do I find the best lawyer? It's how do you find the best lawyer for you and for your situation? It's not a one size fits all. And I tell people that, I encourage people when they do consultations with me to see some other lawyers, because you really should date before you marry. And you're going to start a relationship with your divorce lawyer. You're going to have a real level of like candor with each other. I have to tell, like in a negotiating room, in a courtroom, I'm an advocate. I'm a weapon. I'm going to argue whatever needs to be argued. You're not going to know what I actually think about anything. But behind closed doors, when I'm talking to my client with attorney-client privilege attached, I only have one mode. That's being blunt and candid, 100%. I will tell you stuff you don't want to hear but need to hear. And I'd rather under-promise and over-perform than over-promise and under-perform. So that's a particular style. Some people, they want someone who's going to be like 100% aligned with their perspective at all times, like some combination of a dad and a cheerleader. Like a dad in the sense that whatever, I'm just going to go, you don't have to worry about anything. I'm in charge of this now. You don't have to make any decisions. Just trust what I say, and that's it. And a cheerleader in the sense that whatever crazy shit you say you want, I'm going to go, absolutely. We're going to get you that. Even if it has no basis in law, there's no way you're going to get it. I'm just going to make you promises that I can't back up on. And look, divorce lawyers, we have it really easy because we get paid whether we win or lose. Like unlike personal injury lawyers that are like no fee unless we win, like divorce lawyer, I win, I'm the greatest lawyer in the whole wide world. I lose, this judge, I can't believe they missed the ball. Anyway, you got to pay your bill anyway. So it's a kind of a great gig in that way, but it's also the lawyers who do it well, we take that as a responsibility and we caution our clients like, hey, pick your shots, like pick your battles, not everything. The main thing is keeping the main thing, like stay focused. And so I think for you got to find someone who has a communication style that matches yours. Find someone who is, who's organized and thoughtful. I think 99% of my success is that I'm wildly OCD, incredibly organized, and very responsive. Like I deliberately keep the number of cases I take to a low number compared to many of my colleagues because I like to have hands on. My clients can text me, email me, WhatsApp me 24/7. They know that they can get in touch with me. So that's an important piece. How accessible is this person? Big firm versus small firm. I got to tell you, technology has changed that game completely, man. I've seen some big firms that they just become unwieldy dinosaurs where everything's by committee and you got to have 8 people that look over the email before it can be sent. Whereas a smaller firm can like stick and move in ways that speed kills. Like there are ways, and especially too now with like the technology that's available to people, both AI and large language models, but also, some of the sort of case integration stuff that's out there. If you're technologically efficient, you do not need a big firm to have big firm responsiveness now. So I would just say, like I said, go out there, find someone who matches your communication style. You want someone who has some experience behind them, but not so much that they're completely burned out. You want someone who's still passionate about the work. I've always said the day that I'm not passionate about the work is the day I'm just going to drop the mic and quit, because this is not a job for people that don't want to do this job. Like this is a job you have to be all in or not at all. I will never be able to do this job half-assed. Nobody can be a half-assed part-time divorce lawyer. You're either in or you're out. And if you're in, find somebody who's in. That's really key. And again, best way to do it, ask among colleagues. Don't Google it. Don't look at all these top lawyers, super lawyer, 50 lawyers who have voted. It's all paid advertising crap. I get so many emails of congratulations, you've been selected for Outstanding Lawyers of the Year. And you just have to spend $3,000 for us to do your advertising, your markup. But you win the award no matter what. If you want to actually use the logo, you have to pay for it. And then everybody's like, oh, I won this award. You didn't win an award. You bought an award. Like I can go to a store and buy trophies too. It doesn't mean I'm actually good at anything. So you really go among your colleagues, ask your real estate lawyer, your trust and estates lawyer, ask other lawyers, hey, who's the person in the courthouse that knows what they're doing? Who's the person that the interns come watch? Like, who's the person that knows how to do what needs to be done? And that's the best possible, way to select a lawyer. All right, it's time for a Sexton-ism. Sexton-isms, for those of you who are not anointed, are things that I say so often that my staff writes them down and has called them Sexton-isms because I repeat the same things to clients very often because the same messages tend to apply to people. So the one for today is, to get things you've never had, you have to do things you've never done. I have to tell clients this all the time. To get things you've never had, you have to do things you've never done. You have to step out of your comfort zone. If you do the same thing all the time, you're going to get the same results. They say the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and thinking you're going to get a different result. To move into new chapters in your life, you have to move out of your comfort zone. You have to make change in your life. Change is hard, right? Change is difficult. Transitions are difficult, but change is what keeps us moving. As Bob Dylan said, he who isn't busy being born is busy dying. So you really have to accept the fact early on that if you want things you've never had, you got to do things you've never done. Hey gang, that'll do it for today for Better Call Sexton. Remember to like, subscribe. It really does help the channel. We'll look forward to seeing you again real soon. We are adjourned.